Hey guys, I am Sean from the Comics Pals, and we are here live at New York Comic Con 2023. It is Thursday. It is basically the beginning of the day, and this was our first stop. This was our first stop. We had to do it. You guys know how we do at the Comics Pals at New York Comic Con. I am here with the veteran, the legend, the incomparable Dirk Manning. Dirk, how you doing? It's good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
Yes.
Karaoke with you to do the mic check.
Yes, we did a little pre-karaoke. You guys have to be here to see it. It's it's always fun with Dirk Manning. So Dirk.
Yes, sir.
It's been 20 years,
20 years of terror.
20 years of terror, 20 years of hate, H8.
Yeah, H8, right.
You have done it all. I looked at your booth here. You have so many books. It gets crazier and crazier every single year. You have a plushie. I don't know if you want to show that off.
Yeah.
You got a plushie.
Cthulhu Jr. plushie.
Love that. But
he's got drool. This is my favorite part.
Oh, he has drool? Oh, my God.
Right, he's got the drool on it. Scoot McMahon designed him, and then Josh Werner, Source Point Press did. Yeah, but just amazing. Right?
Super drool action. Love that.
Yes.
Love that.
Super drool.
You also have an action figure of a sort.
Yeah.
Can we show that off real quick?
Yeah, I'll grab one here. The joke is 20 years being a published writer, you don't necessarily get a pension, but you get an action figure. So this was done with our friends at Knucklehead Toys. I'm in a toy line with like Guar, Cheech and Chong,
cool. Wow.
Jelly Roll, Twisted, Min Chang. It's just wild, man. It's crazy. It's like what a world. To be like 20 years in the game and not only still be able to be writing, still publishing, still have people checking out my work, working with Source Point Press, and then on top of all that, then you get a plushie, then you get an action figure, the desk Dirk, so it's cool, man. It's cool.
It's incredible, and one of the things that I noticed, especially over the last few years, is that horror is really on a resurgence.
Yes.
And I was thinking about the fact that you really are one of the forerunners of this movement, this horror movement, because Tales of Mystery is incredible, and not only were you at the forefront of horror, but you're also at the forefront of internet comics and putting your books online.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the fact that we do have this horror renaissance? How do you feel about the fact that horror is back in comics, and are you excited to be a part of that?
No, I love it. And it's interesting you say that, because one of the things that people are realizing is that horror is more than blood and boobs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to be blunt. Right? If you have to bleep me on the word boobs, I apologize. But I mean, it's more than that. It's more than just the senseless, violent stuff that a lot of like 80s horror slasher stuff did, And now we're seeing that the mainstream audience, are like realizing that horror is cerebral. Good.
Yes.
I don't like to use a word like good, because good is very subjective. But people are responding to cerebral stories and I've said this on the show with you over the years. To me, I love horror because I think horror speaks to the human condition in a way a lot of other genres of literature don't, because they ask you the question, what would you do if?
Right.
It's not about if all of a sudden all the doors lock and a bunch of werewolves come falling through the ceiling. To me, the horror is not necessarily just about the werewolves. It's like, what do we do if there's a pack of werewolves running around in here?
Yeah.
So it's exciting. It's cool, and it's refreshing. Keith Giffen, as we know, just passed away.
Yeah.
And I was reading that something that he told Mark Waid years ago that I think is very relevant to your question. I guess Keith told Mark years ago, when Mark asked him, how do you stay successful in comics? He goes, find the one thing you're good at and do it better than anyone else. And that way, when it comes into season, you'll be the one they come to.
Wow.
Right. I may have paraphrased that or chopped up a little bit, but that was the general sentiment of it. And that's it. I love horror and I love comics. I was doing horror comics when they were seen as kind of like the ghetto of comics. I was doing short story stuff when it was seen as the ghetto of comics.
Sure.
But now people come around. Nightmare World, 20 years later, still sells. People still buy it. Tales of Mystery, we're on the 5th volume of a long-running independent horror series. Working with now the Lon Chaney Entertainment, doing the stuff with the Lon Chaney's estate. I've got some other big horror stuff, so like you said, I'll do it either way, but I'm glad that people are catching up and more people are being willing to give this stuff a chance and see how much they do enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I like about your work in particular is that Nightmare World is a little bit different because you do get so many different kinds of stories in it, but your horror books are about something else. It's the horror of, like, Tales of Mystery, for example, is not necessarily about monsters. They're there, but it's the horror of a world that is kind of on the brink,
Right.
And it's like, well, if you were Mystery, if you lived in this world, what would you do? How would you handle these situations?
Exactly. And I'll tell you something else. It's funny. I started Tales of Mystery. We started publishing it on June 6, 2006. So 666.
I love
There's
it.
always hidden gimmicks in everything I do.
We wouldn't be Dirk Manning without it.
Right. But here's the thing. Part of the Tales of Mystery story has always been people know that monsters are real, but there's like deniers, like, oh no, they're all gone. It's not as serious anymore. And then we go through COVID, and there's people that are like, oh well, this virus isn't real. It's not killing people. It's not dangerous. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, I wrote Tales of Mystery 2006, and the story continues. Obviously, volume 5 came out last year.
Absolutely.
But it's like that was meant to be like this Kafka-esque, almost absurdist notion, and then we ended up living it.
Absolutely. And I would even argue that there are a lot of people that live in denial about a lot of things, and the horror of denial is incredible, and you can find that in Tales of Mystery.
Oh, thank you, and I appreciate that, but that's exactly it. Yeah, Mystery's that guy who's like, look, this is real. This is dangerous. You need to be prepared. The demons are coming back. The 3-day rapture was just the first wave.
Right.
And I think a lot of people identify with that when we went through the pandemic and things like that, or different things that they're concerned about it, but then a lot of people, it's choose your own reality now.
Exactly.
In Mystery, one of the fundamental tenets of that book is that choose your own reality. And then you amplify it to a major degree, and that's scary. It's like you're almost an invasion of the body snatchers world. But you're right. That's the core of what Tales of Mystery is about. But then there's still this guy, a magician who fights monsters and all this stuff. So that's what good horror does. What would you do if?
Exactly.
What would you if you're the guy that knows?
So for those of you who haven't read Tales of Mystery, you absolutely should go pick it up. There are plenty of ways you can do that. Dirk's going to show you right now.
The omnibus that collects the first 4 volumes in one big trade paperback collection. You can get this your local comic shop. It's heavy. If you don't have access to local comic shops, get on Amazon. But all over the place.
But you made your mark in horror, and you've kind of diversified a bit because you're doing things like Hope. Yep. You're doing the biographies, like you did one with Tony Schiavone. You did one with Arn Anderson. I want to talk about Hope.
Yes.
Because Hope Volume 2 just kicked off. 2 issues out now.
2 issues right now.
Yeah.
Yep, and the Kickstarter is on Halloween.
Oh, we're going to talk about that in a moment.
Sorry, yep. First 2 issues of Hope 2 are out, yes.
So Hope Volume 1 ends on a very incredible cliffhanger. I don't really want to spoil it for the people because I want them to read it. But with Hope Volume 2, which is something that all of your fans have been looking forward to, we really get to sort of dive a little bit deeper into this world that you're building. We sort of get to see that there's maybe a cabal of some villains that might be a little bit dangerous. I really love that sequence, by the way, in the second issue when you kind of bring all that to light.
Yeah, the Reservoir Dogs moment, we're going around the table.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, but it's a different muscle for you in a lot of ways, I would say. So what has the process been like of bringing Hope back for Volume 2, and again, scratching that different kind of itch?
When it became evident that Sally Scott was going to illustrate Hope Volume 2, it allowed me to really solidify the approach I wanted to take with her as a storyteller. I've worked with Sally on Nightmare World. I've worked with her. She did stories in Buried But Not Dead. Sally's a very gifted artist, and knowing that she was drawing it, I was like, okay, I'm going to really get to delve into scenes where all the villains are sitting around a table and they're ribbing each other, and she'll sell it, and she'll just do such a good job with it. I know the story of Hope. I know where the story is going, obviously. And but it's just like I tell people, Tales of Mystery, I have to go to a certain place to write that book. with Hope, I have to go to a certain place. Because the other thing with Hope is that, about flexing that muscle, Hope Volume 2, or Hope Volume 1 blew a lot of people away.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was Source Point Press's first ever book for Free Comic Book Day. Like you said, people get to the end of it and they lose their minds. It's been the book that most people want. It's my most requested sequel is Hope Volume 2.
I believe it. I believe it.
So I knew I had to match, if not surpass, Volume 1. And I knew where Volume 2 ended, even when I was writing Volume 1. So to get there, and then to play to the strengths of Sally Scott as an artist, to get to really see those scenes come to life, and see these villains come to life.
Yeah.
You got Maiden Hell, and Lady Tokyo, and Ms. Zero, other.
Maiden Hell, that's a good one.
Yeah, a metal reference, I got Mr. Metal, I have heavy metal guys, but to get to flex that muscle, because much like Mr. Rhee is slowly becoming more of an ensemble book, Hope Volume 2 really focuses on the ensemble.
Right.
You got all the villains all over the place now, and in the first 2 chapters, Hope is almost, you're almost seeing the ripple of Hope more than Hope herself.
Yeah.
So I took a risk on this one, because I know people were very interested in it. I knew people were very excited about it. So I'm using that trust to tell the story exactly the way I want to tell it.
Right.
Which is a little bit different. It picks up right where Volume 1 left off, but then we go to a flashback of let's take a look at the impact that Hope has had on the people around her now that all this is going on.
Yeah. And a lot of people would look at Hope and say, okay, yeah, this is a superhero story, that's cool. But I don't look at it quite just like that. I actually think that there's horror in this too. In my mind, it's the horror of thinking you know someone and you really don't.
That too, or the horror of having, there's multiple layers. The horror of being persecuted in the eyes of the public.
Right.
Or the horror of being judged on your lifestyle. All these different things. I tell people, Hope is the scariest book on my table. Even though it's the book about the mom superhero book.
Right.
It's the scariest book, and so yeah, I think your assessment's very accurate. And again, I want Hope to read like a Dirk Manning book, like anything else.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's another big part of it. So yeah, it's a very Kafka-esque book. I get to tap into my Franz Kafka a lot with that, much like I do with Mr. Rhee. I think Hope and Mr. Rhee, honestly, are sibling books in a lot of ways, that they're two of the character-driven, long-form, scarier books.
Are you teasing a crossover, Dirk? Is that what's happening right now?
I didn't think about that.
Dirkverse?
The Dirkiverse? Right.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the Kickstarter.
Yes.
And so I want you to talk about that. I want you to talk about Halloween. It launches on Halloween. What can people expect from the Kickstarter?
Well, I'll tell you, if you go to aheroforhope.com, you'll be able to go to the Kickstarter page and do the pre-launch for for Hope Volume 2 masks. Anyone, and we're offering a Kickstarter exclusive hardcover. I have a limited number left of the Volume 1 hardcovers, very limited number. So if people missed the Volume 1 hardcover, this is one of the only times I've ever done this in a Kickstarter. There's a small amount left. People can jump in on that.
Wow.
But the other thing I'm most excited, and there's a chance to be drawn into the book. You can be a character in the backup story as a villain or a hero.
You got me.
That's cool.
You got me. I want to be in the comics, so I guess
But the other really cool thing is I'm launching it on Halloween Day at 2:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Hope 2:22 again. The gimmick. I'm a slave. I can't help.
Gotta live the gimmick.
I just drawn them like a moth to the flame. The gimmicks draw me in. But speaking of gimmicks, anyone who pledges Halloween Day, Day 1, will get a special Halloween treat with their pledge.
Oh.
Yeah. One day only. It's going to be put in there. It's a very high value treat too. It's very cool.
I love this. All treat, no trick.
That's right.
This is a Kickstarter you're going to want to jump on board with. If you haven't checked out Hope, you will love it, I promise. I think it's a book that really, honestly, anyone could read. It could be your first comic. I don't think that there's some great barrier to entry. All you have to love is good stories, to be honest.
Thank you.
So check the Kickstarter out.
I appreciate that a lot, Sean, too, because that's like my motto is like when people come to my tables at shows like this, I just, like, pick up anything and read it. That's my goal. Any book should be able to be someone's first book. So, but yeah, Hope is one that, if you like horror stuff, want something non-traditional, pick up Hope. If you just want a book about a complex character in dynamic, difficult situations, pick up Hope.
Absolutely.
You want a beautifully illustrated book, pick up Hope. You want a book with decent writing, pick up Hope.
Better than decent. Let's give you some credit. Better than decent.
Thank you.
So yeah. Pick that up. Hope is phenomenal. You will absolutely love it. So I want to talk about Source Point Press a little bit because you're not just writing. Mm-hmm. You're not just writing. You're actually behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. You are putting things together. You've got some big horror stuff in the works through Source Point Press. Yes. Can you talk to us about your new role, what you've been doing, and what we can expect in the future from you in that position?
Yeah, I've been operating as a special projects manager. So part of that has been working with books that have like a real world client. Twisted's a great example. They were some of our partners with the company from day one. Tony Schiavone, Arn Anderson. We're working with Cheney Entertainment. So we're doing I'm writing the graphic novel adaptation of London After Midnight, the famous Lost horror film.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's huge. Congrats.
It's like, wow, what a world, right? So we're working on that. Marianne Pescosta is illustrating that. But then as special project manager, we're doing 2 books with Cheney Entertainment. We're doing the unproduced sequel to the original Wolfman, Curse of the Wolfman.
Wow.
Josh Werner, who was the editor-in-chief of Source Point Press, was actually writing that book. So I'm
that's cool.
that project. So I'm also starting to look to work with, and I'm working with some other creators now that may be working with real-world clients or even just helping them supporting their stuff coming out through the publishing.
Okay.
Publishing has changed a lot in the last couple of years, and doing Kickstarters and things like that.
Yeah.
But mainly it's going to be about taking creators that we know are doing high quality books and want their book to come out, want their book to get in distribution. Let's help them get there. I've been doing this 20 years, and even going back to Right or Wrong days, a big part of that's pay it forward. I'm not going to say there's one way, but here's some stuff I can tell you that may help you. Do what you want with it. But then the other part of that is, again, handling like the clients for books that are coming in and stuff like that.
Sure. Well, that's exciting. I think that creators need, it's in my mind, and please feel free to add on, I think that right now there's more resources to get into comics than ever before. It's probably easier than ever, but because of that, there's so many people trying to do it that it can be crowded, and having opportunities like getting in the ground floor with a Source Point Press, working with a Dirk Manning on getting yourself out there, I think that's huge, and I think that's a resource that more up-and-coming creators need.
Well, and that's it. And it's just like, look, if we're going to bring, if the book is the right fit for Source Point Press, if we're the right fit for you,
right.
We can talk about looking at the Kickstarter model, some things we want to do to kind of help out. And then again, it's just ultimately you got to own your own journey. But if we can do stuff to help out, for the right creators and the right projects, come in and help manage this to make this a big deal.
Yeah.
I think I can talk about this freely, and if not, I apologize. But Dominic Riggio, longtime buddy of mine, he did a graphic novel with Darren McCarty from the Detroit Red Wings. We're going to be doing that through Source Point Press.
Okay.
Helping them put the Kickstarter together.
Okay.
Things like that, There's another horror project coming out that I'm writing with I'm being very careful. I know you're drilling in on me.
Yep. You know what I want.
A very big name in modern horror that will be announcing probably later this year. I'm writing it. It's with a very big name in modern horror. Adrena Joe's editing it. Josh Ross came back to draw the whole graphic novel.
Oh, wow.
He just did an amazing book called Left Turns from Source Point Press.
Love it.
There's another guy who did like special project management, Austin McKinley with Riot Force, things like that. But Josh Ross came back to what we came back because when this project was presented to me, all I could say was, Josh Ross needs to draw this. And I went to him, and I told him, I said, I can't tell you who this is with yet, but would you be willing to do X and do this? And he's like, I trust you, and if you think I'm the right guy, we'll have that conversation.
That's exciting.
So that'll be announced soon, but it's going to be a really, really big deal.
That's exciting. Well, I love everything you have going on. It sounds like you are busier than ever.
I'm trying.
of course. I mean, you are, well, someone else has the title, the hardest working man in comics. But I would put your name in the ringer. I would throw you in there.
You know, in the spirit of friendly competition, I'll just say scoreboard. It's like,
we love Victor Dandridge.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm just, you know, we
just
go
a rib.
Way back,
just a rib. Real quick,
yes,
just before we let you go.
Yes, sir.
Every year I like to get like one wrestling question in for you. So my question to you is, in 2023
yes,
only,
yes, sir.
WWE, AEW, where you at?
Yes.
I tried.
No, it's going to be an interesting year for WWE, and it's going to be an interesting year for AEW, because my impression as a fan looking in, and I have no inside knowledge on this, is that I think TKO is coming in hot, and now AEW's been around 4 years. Now it's time to really put up or shut up. Or one second. Yeah, I'll be with you in 1 second, my friend. Yeah. No, you're good. I'll be 1 second. But yeah, now it's time. Now if TKO is looking at them closely, it's time for AEW to really start to sharpen the. What is it? They say iron sharpens iron.
Exactly.
I think they're in TKO's crosshairs now. So now it's a time where it's like AEW is going to have to really get themselves together. I think they've been pivoting in their direction of what they're doing a little bit. I think it's going to help them. TKO, WWE is coming in hot. So get ready.
Well, I agree with you. I think it's good for wrestling fans that we have two major companies. My final question.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not even a question. Maybe it's maybe I'm just throwing this out there to you, to the listener. Maybe to a certain TK. I think WWE, they've got some comics. AEW could use some comics. I know a writer, I know a publisher that might be interested. I don't know if they're, I don't know if you're interested in that, Dirk, but
I'm here.
Yeah.
I've actually met Tony Khan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, surprise. Yeah. He is a sweet, kind, passionate guy. And I'll tell you, I met Tony Khan when we were doing the Kickstarter with Tony Schiavone. I was at a live event, got to meet him. And he goes, oh my, Tony Khan. He goes, you're the one doing the book with Tony. He goes, that is so great. Thank you for doing that. That's so awesome. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, right? No, thank you. But his first interaction was to thank me for doing that for Tony.
That's incredible.
Nice guy. I really want AEW to continue to be successful.
Yeah,
as a fan of professional wrestling, I'm all in. But in WWE, they're stepping up their game again too now. So it's, like I said, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan. But yeah, Tony Khan, if you're out there, I would love to. Anytime, brother. Anytime.
Let's do it. Book it. I say book it.
Book it.
You're a big fan of AEW. I'm a big fan of yours. Dirk, thank you as always for giving some of your time to us.
I'm such a fan of what you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of you that watch this too, because the Comics Pals do so much to promote creators across the industry. When you guys watch these videos and stuff, and you check out our stuff like that, you guys are some of the ones that have done this most consistently.
Thank you.
And you all do it the best. So thank
you.
The Comics Pals behind the table, behind the camera, thank you guys. You give a voice to so many creators that don't have a corporate machine behind them. And that's very important. So thank you. Thank you all for watching too.
Thank you for watching. We will be here all weekend long. We're going to have so many interviews with creators. As Dirk said, no one does it like we do. So keep it locked to our YouTube channel for all of the Comics Pals interviews throughout this weekend. I'm Sean again. Thank you all so much. Take care, guys.